Hello, welcome back. And today I'm going to show you the other way to practice SQL with SQLite3 in Python. And as a bonus, I'm going to show you how I download my data from Kaggle because I like Kaggle datasets. So I'm going to install Kaggle by using the pip command. And there is a whole documentation for you that I included here for you to start your API if you haven't. Start with bang Kaggle dataset list. This will give you the default view of the datasets on Kaggle itself. So if you go to Kaggle, you go to dataset, and you hit all datasets. So this is the same list that you are going to see here. And if you have and more information, Kaggle sort these items by hotness, and they have a whole model of hotness per this guy, Miles O'Neill. He's a Kaggle staff, and he said there's an algorithm, and they change it periodically. And this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to see. This is the first page of it. And so I added here the usage of the command line where you can, you can see the list, and you can add it the page. You can add in the page where you would like to go. So this is the first page by default. And if I go in here and if I add a self below by hitting B, and hit enter, you are going to be able to Kaggle data sets says in list, and you're going to go to page 2 and run it. And so this is different, right? So the first one is online foot data set, and this is time the internet. It forces me to adding a lot more filter to see what I want. All right, so let's take a look at what filters. So you can sort by, and I added here you can sort by the hotness, the rows, the update, the active, and published. Most of the time, I think people using it by, so hotness is what trendy. What are people working on right now? Vote is mean like, oh, what do people like? Update is how recently updated the thing is. Inactive, I rarely use these two, so don't really know and won't be able to tell you what it is. Min size and max size are in bytes, so remember a kilobyte is 2 to the power of the 10 byte, and so on. And so if you want a megabyte of of size, it has to be in like a million over here, and it's integer. Alright, 5 type, you can either work with CSV, SQLite, JSON, or BigQuery. But the fun part is BigQuery dataset is not downloadable. You can't download it. We have multiple licenses, for example, things like public domain, or MIT has their own data, I think, and then tag ID. So let's just take a look at, take a look at the first one. You can see over here, usability. We have an entire checklist for usability. And they sum it all up. MIT has their own license. They don't update this. And these are the tags that you would like to, if you would like to narrow it down by the tags. Alright, moving on. We already see this part. Okay, so one of the usage is to search, and for sometimes and a lot of time I like to narrow it down by what I'm interested in at that moment. So you can either, let's see, put the self below and do a Kaggle data sets list, and then we search for books. So you can do it you can do a one word, and it will get you, the very first 20 data set. Again, it's still sorted by hotness, but it filter out only the book data sets. But sometimes it's booking because, it's the word booking. It has the word book in it. And so you can also put a bunch of search words, keywords together by adding a quotation mark on it, and bam. And you get the same thing. And so so let's say, okay, I want to see what is 2023 data scientist salaries like. They last updated last year around 12/14, right? Yeah, 12/14. So it's December, so it wasn't that far away, and quite a bit of people download it. So let's download that guy. So what field we're going to get is the very first one, is what you're interested in. So you have the person's user name and the dataset's name. And we are going to go with a bank, Kaggle datasets. Instead of list, we're going to download and add that keyword. Since I already have downloaded it before, it's skipping downloading it. Same thing with the metadata. So the metadata will be a JSON format, and I added a little code here to print out the information. So what I'm interested in here is this data set. Information, so where I got a dictionary of what my data fields look like. So then when I work later on, I can reference it in here. Notice that they have a lot of Unicode issue that, obviously I don't care, but you can also fix it if you would like to. Alright, so when I download my data set, it's going to be a zip folder. And so I need to unzip it. I'm going to use a zip file. If you don't have zip file, do the bang bip install zip file, and you're going to have it. And what it does is going to extract every file in this zip file. Fortunately for me, this is the only file that it has that was in the zip file. So this is what I'm going to get, and I'm going to do a little preliminary peeping at my data. So you see they have work year, everything is it looks very clean and uniform. So let's say this is España, Spain, US, Canada, company size. So then, so what I do next is I'm going to put this in SQLite3. SQLite3 is a database, open source database system that's suitable for small or medium sized data, and it works perfectly in this case. I don't know how many lines I get, so let's do this. df.shape. Shape is the attribute or a function. I think shape is an attribute. So I got 11 column and about 3,000, about 4,000 rows. 4,000 rows. So I specify the file that I want. I specified the database file that I would like to create. which I use the same name, wonder why. We're going to start a connection with SQLite3. We're going to connect to this database, and we're going to put a cursor in it. So start a database, connect to a database, start a cursor. So at the cursor, I have to create my table. This is a very basic data engineer, data admin that I won't talk about. So we're going to execute this little query. And I'm going to open my file and insert into that query with all of my rows. So you see I loop in all of the row, skip the header, loop on all the row, and get it, commit and close. I always close my database connection, which is my practice, my preferred practice. Let's see if I run it, everything. Okay, so commit and close. And now I'm going to confirm that my data is loaded. This is one way of writing a short query. So you're going to execute this query and fetch all of the row in the cursor, where the cursor is at. So yeah, everything loaded just fine. You're going to see every row, the tuples here, and this is where the fun begins. This is where I like, okay, so what is the average salary for each of the employment type? And you can see I wrote a little bit of a query here. Is not as advanced as the lead code that has been doing, but it kind of show you the gist of this. I got the query, I wrote the query, and then I used Panda to read that query with the connection to the database. Again, I always close the connection, but you can leave it open and write as many queries as you want before you close it. And voila, so you got a, so you get, because you use Panda, you get a data frame, you get a employment type. And see, so here is this employment type. You can kind of, guess a little bit of thing, whether it's part-time, full-time. I would guess this is contract, but what is FL? And so I go back to my data dictionary, my data set dictionary. So you see employment type is part-time, full-time, contract, or what we get, but that's freelance. And so that's the number. And okay, number doesn't tell me anything. So what is it? What is it like compared to each other? So let's just plot it out. Just a regular plot. If I don't have this, so let's say if I remove this and I remove this and I run it, it's going to be a line. Well, we don't want to see a line, right? Because line kind of depict the continuous type deal, like a time series or something else, but you don't want that. I don't want that. I want to see bar, so let's just remove the bar back inside. And when I run the bar, the plot function default for x would be the index, and that's why I have the employment type in it. And so we have contractor, full-time, freelancer, full-time, and part-time. So this give you a so this give people so let's see, if I show my kids this, I was like, which one has the highest salary? And they'll be like, oh, full-time job. And I go, okay, so should you stay at school long enough to get a full-time job? And they go, yeah. So that's how data visualization works. Anyway, so that is how I use SQLite3 and Python to do some practice. And the cool thing is you can also visualize your practice query, and that is a cool part. Anyway, thank you for staying with me till this point. If you have any question, reach out. I have the portal for everyone to give me some question or comment your question below. I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your question. And till next time.